Nope, better. We are getting to participate in a charity program called Letters to Santa.
It seemed only logical to create an organization that led to the creation of
Starting data from previous
it
runs.
was a confidential
Analysis.
agency that had the luxury of
You cannot
operating
lose.
largely out of the public eye, only having to answer to the Congressional Committee on Atomic Energy. At meetings, they were always held behind closed doors. For the most part, nuclear physicists were given a blank check to build powerful nuclear reactors and colliders on the pretense that their research was advancing national security. And particle physicists
On the move.
oil crisis, rampant inflation, massive recession. In response to this, President Jimmy Carter created a new department in the 1970s, the Department of Energy, or for short, the DOE. The DOE was organized and managed to fund research into a variety of energies, such as solar power, renewables, and synthetic fuels. Additionally, all nuclear responsibilities, peaceful or otherwise, were absorbed into the newly created department. No longer would their funding be the DOE would be subject to a new Congress.
Heater in play.
So,
Time to move.
in R&D in 1984. But if the SSC was going to turn that M into a B, they had to get some key people in Washington. They had to make a deal with the devil. The SSC only got off the ground due to an alliance with the Marines. There had never before been a scientific project of this scope, in physical size and financial cost. Unlike previous American accelerators from the U.S. government, this one was going to be the first across the billion-dollar threat. In fact, the cost of the
I'm gone.
That's probably fair, because I made 2 physics teachers in high school very miserable. But the other quote gives a little more insight into Reagan's thought process. Following a presentation on the merits of funding the project, he reportedly pulled out an index card from his jacket pocket and went on to recite a poem by Jack London. I would rather be ashes than dust. This continued on for about 2 minutes, in a moment that is very on brand for late-stage Reagan. Those in the room with him were unclear on what he was trying to say. Reagan would clarify with a different quote, which he pulled from his days spent as a football player. He was telling it was time for a Hail Mary. It may be surprising that Ronald Reagan, of all people, would be so enthusiastic about a multi-billion-dollar project that is incredibly abstract and offers no short-term economic or strategic benefits. But I think the line "throw deep" perfectly encapsulates Ronald Reagan's distinct brand of Cold War plot. It took nearly 6 years of Democrats alike to get Reagan to throw deep in the SSC and the Department of Energy. It was like playing political whack-a-mole. Every time physicists would gain one ally in Washington, they would retire or be promoted, only to be cabinet meeting, especially given that Reagan took office in 1991, one of his first acts big government overreach as soon as he took office, Reagan slashed programs left and right in the form of the scientific department. He cut all funding to renewable energy. Despite the throughout Reagan's 8 years of office, he would appoint 3 secretaries of energy, each of whom was uniquely honored. His first pick was a dentist turned politician. His next choice, Donald Fidel, was closer as an ex-power player. And yet,
Repositioning.
his final secretary, perfect. Now, hindsight, but I think this is after some small policies were in office, there was an immediate push. Funding for federal research and development grew by a whopping 50%. Reagan, though almost everything in the DOE was cut, nuclear energy and nuclear programs received massive increases. But let's visualize this another way. See those mountains back there? Well, they're not the mountains, the annual United States military budget. Thankfully, part of this one of these exciting areas that he was referring to was surgery and bosons in Europe. Despite Reagan's priority being defense, he was also a firm believer that the government had a responsibility to that meant low-level physics.
Here, Hong Kong. Other fields of science were not so lucky. They began to resent nuclear physics as the teacher's pet of the U.S. government. Less flashy areas such as condensed matter physics, renewable energy, medicine saw their budgets stagnate due to inflation, and worse cases received cuts. In the eyes of the Reagan admin, there were 2 applications. Those areas would be the responsibility of private industry, the invisible hand of the glorious research. Of course, you can't discuss Reagan underfunded science without addressing his callous indifference to the age crisis, which led to millions of I escape routes. 15 minutes remaining.
Once top dog of the Navy, his appointment was widely criticized, questioned by Watt himself. He was, after all, a devout Catholic, most of the military, despite what we might expect. Advocating for 50 million in funding for research, improved sexual health education, and he criticized religious bigots who considered disease as in his commission report, he would go on to request anti-discrimination laws for those suffering from AIDS. The commission report passed by a slim vote of 7-6. Reagan would go on to reject most of the suggestions made by Watkins. Although he didn't say so publicly, behind the scenes Watkins was said to have been angered and depressed. But there is only one thing that Reagan loved more than the amount that he paid the gays: space. Throughout the 80s, NASA's budget was stagnant. But as well as
On the move.
See, NASA is explicitly for non-military space applications. Military space applications falls missile defense system that was
Gone.
Throughout its life cycle, Star Wars wasted nearly $60 billion over 10 years before being scrapped completely. But, to hear it from Reagan's top generals, these colossal wastes of money weren't entirely wastes of time. See, these lofty science fiction projects may have been unattainable in hindsight, but so long as the USSR thought they were even remotely possible, the Soviets would continue to sink billions of dollars they didn't have into trying to keep pace with the Americans, hopefully one day bankrupting them. And, to a certain extent, money troubles did lead to the collapse of the Soviet Union. But on the other hand, this relentless defense buildup led to a massive deficit that would follow the US